The Boston Celtics just got a nice 14-point victory on the road against the Brooklyn Nets last night, but I'm not here to talk about that or Sam Hauser having a really good fourth quarter or anything. No, I'm talking about the Dallas Mavericks. They're potentially having a fire sale, and your Boston Celtics could be involved. There's reports coming out that the Mavs are looking to kind of just shift towards the future and potentially trade off some of their big-time veteran pieces in hopes of centering around Cooper Flagg for the long haul. We're going to break down who could be traded by the Mavericks and who could be coming to Boston if they were to make a call to Dallas in just a moment. But I got to ask you guys first, if you think that Brad Stevens should go out there and make a trade, because I think the Celtics are maybe a piece or two away once Jason Tatum comes back. If you think the Celtics go out there and make a deal this season, go down below and hit that thumbs up icon. I want everybody to like today's video so Brad Stevens can see this and maybe get up off the chair and go make a couple calls. All right, so let's talk about it, man. The Dallas Mavericks, they look to be potentially trading off some of the big pieces after kind of just really having a disaster with Nico Harrison as their general manager and trading away Luka Doncic. Tim McMahon of ESPN dropped this bombshell report about the Mavs potentially kind of selling the whole farm. He said, Patrick Dumont, the owner of the Mavs, and his new basketball cabinet, which once again includes former majority owner Mark Cuban, are plotting to pivot the future with an 18-year-old Cooper Flagg, the number 1 overall pick, delivered by Dallas to Dallas by an unprecedented lottery luck, gifting the new ownership group a second chance to build a sustainable contender around a generational talent. Now, multiple sources said that the Mavs, who are 4-11 and outside the playoff picture in the West, will also explore the trade market for Anthony Davis, the 10-time All-Star big man who was the headliner in the return of the Luka Doncic deal, as part of that process before this season's deadline. And what I'll say about this is it wasn't explicitly written, but what I'll tell you is that if they're considering trading Anthony Davis, if Anthony Davis is on the trade block, then everybody is on the trade block, not named Cooper Flagg or maybe like a guy like Derek Lively because he's pretty young and a nice ascending piece in Dallas right now. But everybody else is pretty much up for grabs. Now, Mark Cuban did come out and say on Wednesday that, quote, "We won't be trading Anthony Davis. We want to try to win." Is Mark Cuban going to really go out to the media and say, "Hey, we're trading Anthony Davis. Come give us nothing in return for him"? Like, Mark Cuban knows how big of a mistake it was to trade Luka Doncic, and especially for the return that he got for him. You think he wants to get even less of a return than he could if they said that they weren't trading Anthony Davis? No, he's a businessman, and he's back involved with the Mavs now. Of course, he's going to try to keep his cards close to his chest and tell everybody that they're not going to go out there and trade Anthony Davis, so that at least there may be some interest and upped offers around the league for him. Now, there were reports before that came out via Brett Siegel of Clutch Points that said that the Lakers and the Celtics had some preliminary conversations around Anthony Davis when they were shopping him ahead of that Luka Doncic trade going down. Now, these talks didn't necessarily go anywhere, and we've all rumored, and the Anthony Davis stuff to the Celtics has been nearly a decade old at this point, so nothing ever materialized. But I thought it was interesting that Boston at least inquired, or maybe the Lakers called up Boston about making an Anthony Davis deal. It would, if the Celtics wanted to make a Davis trade now, it would be super complicated, man. It would take another monster 3 to 4 team deal, something akin to the Jimmy Butler deal when he was sent from the Heat to the Warriors, just because of where these two teams are at over the luxury tax, close to these aprons. NBA trades are very difficult to make, so you'd probably have to get one or two other teams involved in order to bring Anthony Davis to Boston. And I don't know. I'm not so sure the Celtics, even if that was possible, would take a huge risk like trading for Anthony Davis, who's on the wrong side of 30. He's not getting any healthier. He hasn't played a bunch this season. He's only played in like 14 out of 44 possible games that he could have played as a Dallas Maverick. So does Boston really want to take a wild swing and try to bring him into town when you have another star player coming off a major injury? I don't think that would be the case. But I do think there are some other players that could be on the Celtics' radar here. I'll ask you, should the Celtics trade for Anthony Davis? If it's available, if teams are willing to do it, should the Celtics trade for Anthony Davis? What do you have to say? Let me know in the comment section by typing T for trade or P for pass. So this list came in. We're going to talk about some other players that could be dealt away from the Mavericks here, as they're kind of considering all options here outside of trading away their number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flagg. This list was compiled by Jeffrey Cooperstein, who hosts Mavericks Today here at Chat Sports, and he decided to say that these 4 names all must go. Dante Exum, Caleb Martin, Jaden Hardy, and D'Angelo Russell. Now, how much interest do I have in any of these guys? It's not much. The only name that I would really consider is a guy like Caleb Martin, but to be honest, with the production that he's got at this point in his career and the money that he makes, it just doesn't really make sense to me. Dante Exum's on a minimum deal expiring. Jaden Hardy's on this egregious contract of 3 years, $18 million. He can't even get on the floor for this Dallas team that's so bad right now. Caleb Martin, I mean, you could argue makes a worse contract with like 3 years for $30 million. Absolutely atrocious. I want nothing to do with really any of these two deals, and that would make me kind of be off of these two players as potential Celtics trade targets. But I will say, there are more players on this Mavericks team that are worth at least making a call about. Trust me, we're going to talk about them in just a moment. But first, I got to tell you guys about our sponsor on today's video, and that, of course, is Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but Prize Picks, being right, can get you paid. It can get you 2,000 times your money watching your Boston Celtics this basketball season. It's the best daily fantasy sports app in the game. All you guys got to do is pick a lineup of 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats, and you can win real money in real time watching your favorite sports. PrizePicks separates themselves, though. They have the best features of any daily fantasy sports app. Yes, they offer stacks. So if you want to take 2 stat projections or maybe even 3 stat projections from the same player and put it in the same lineup, you can do so only on PrizePicks. It's also becoming a social event as well, where you can follow other creators, celebrities, your friends, and copy their lineups into your own using the brand new feed tab. You can even copy my lineup for Thursday Night Football, where I have AJ Epinesa of the Buffalo Bills to have more than 0.25 sacks. I got James Cook of the Buffalo Bills, more than 75.5 rushing yards, and then Woody Marks of the Houston Texans, more than 74.5 rushing and receiving yards. You can tail my picks or fade them. Just do it at PrizePicks. Download the app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Alrighty, we got to talk about P.J. Washington. We'll talk about the players that are worth calling out for Boston in a moment, but P.J. Washington cannot be traded, unfortunately, with the deal that he just signed recently. He is just ineligible to be traded for the entirety of the 25-26 NBA season. As far as P.J. Washington goes, like I wouldn't mind him in Boston. I think he's an underrated defender. He can hit the outside shot, and he's a lengthy and solid rebounder as well. I think he's a good player, but unfortunately, it just won't be possible for Boston to go make a deal for PJ, at least this season, and that's what we're talking about on today's video. So, some other guys on this Mavericks roster who have at least some value around the league. Teams will be calling on these names. Naji Marshall, 3-and-D, a little bit of a ball handler as well, can get to the rim, solid player. Daniel Gafford, around the rim big screen center, elite rebounder and rim protector. I like Gafford a lot. Brandon Williams, ball handler and combo guard, can kind of score from anywhere. I liked what I saw from him in the play-in game for the Mavs way back when last spring. And then Max Christie, another 3-and-D player, but much younger than Naji Marshall, and I think Christie's a player who's ascending and can get a lot better in his NBA career. We'll start with Daniel Gafford because Mark Stein of the Steinline had this to say about his potential availability. He said Daniel Gafford is widely regarded as the most tradable Maverick between now and the February 5th trade deadline in year one of a 3-year deal worth $54 million, but the injuries that have frequently derailed Davis and Derek Lively add a layer of complication even to Gafford's status. Look, I like Daniel Gafford a lot, but that's definitely something you have to keep in mind. Anthony Davis not being able to get out there on the floor a whole heck of a lot. Derek Lively's got injury concerns as well. They might want to keep a little bit of stability on the roster with Daniel Gafford, who, let's be honest, just doesn't miss as much time as those other two guys. And he's a physical, imposing center down low that I think fits great in Boston. He doesn't have the outside shot that you might want for a full spread-out floor, but I think he's just a souped-up, better version of what Neemias Queta is already providing for the C's here. He makes a heck of a lot more money than Neemias Queta, but he's put up elite stats over the last 4 years of his career, man. Just kind of walking 11-7, 12-7 a night, pretty much any given game, any given season, and he's super efficient around the rim as well. Just a lob threat. Not going to ever do too much. Going to grab offensive rebounds, throw them back up for putbacks. He's going to defend around the rim as well. I like Derek Lively a lot, and he's a player. I mean, it's not Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford a lot. He's also a player who I think has solid mobility in space as a defender as well. So I would be absolutely willing to make a deal, or at least a call to Dallas on Gafford. My idea to go get this trade done, it was obviously be trading Anthony Simons. We'll make a different video talking more about just the fact that Anthony Simons is not a long-term piece of the Boston Celtics, but I would be trading him and his $27 million expiring deal and a first-round pick, because I think you have to attach that in order to move off of Simons for Daniel Gafford. Would not be the 2026 first-round pick, by the way. And then you would send Naji Marshall to a third team. Try to just create some cap space for Boston here. This would create about $12.5 to $13 million, with Gafford still only making $14 million in 25-26 season. So that would be my Gafford idea. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments section. We'll talk about Naji Marshall here, though, as Evan Siddery of Forbes did tweet out that Naji Marshall is viewed by rival teams as a realistic trade target for contenders if the Mavericks indeed pivot to a rebuild mid-season. Marshall is a versatile wing with value toughness and is a very valuable contract through the 26-27 season, making less than $10 million annually. Makes about $9 million a year over the next two. And Marshall, I think, is a good player, but with the Celtics kind of having a plethora of wings and young wings that they're trying to develop, I think that bringing in a guy like Naji Marshall would kind of muddy things up in that rotation. I mean, you can't argue that he's a bad player. Like, he's a really good one, right? Like, he shoots above league average from three-point range most of the time. Not last season or this one so far, but look back to 23-24 with his last days in New Orleans, and he was shooting nearly at a 39% clip from long range. Underrated playmaker, I would say, as well, but a solid rebounder and finisher at the rim. This is a guy who shoots like 60% on drives, and I like Naji Marshall's versatility in that aspect a lot. He can play solid defense on the wing and is a very switchable player, probably 2 through 4, maybe even 1 through 4 in this league. But like I said, like with the Celtics' depth at the wing and the amount of switchable, versatile defenders that they have there, Ugo Gonzalez, Jordan Walsh, those types of names, like, is Naji Marshall really worth trading for at $9 million? I don't know. I don't know personally. If we were going to go for a 3-and-D player on the Mavs, I would be more interested in going out there and trading for Max Christie, who is only like 24, maybe 23 years old at this point. I kind of want to get that real quick because, yeah, he's only 22 years old, Max Christie is. So I would be all in on making a deal for him. He is, I think, shooting the second highest three-point percentage so far for guys who have shot at least 75 attempts so far this season. So he has been insane. I think he's shooting like 45% or something like that, ridiculous from long range. And he's been a pretty plus defender with his days with the Lakers and with the Mavs as well. Not going to be a ball handler for you by any means, but an elite 3-and-D player who I would consider sending away Sam Hauser to go get if that's at all possible. I would love to bring Max Christie over to Boston if the price is right. With that being said, with the 3 players that we talked about with some value on the end of today's show, pick one to trade for if you are Boston. If it's Daniel Gafford, type DG. If it's Naji Marshall, give me an NM down in the comments. And if it's Max Christie, type an MC. Which Maverick would you be most inclined to trade for if they do, in fact, go after a fire sale, trade Anthony Davis, and even more on their roster? That will do it for today's show. Make sure you give me a follow over on Twitter at Tyler J. Smith. 2 H's because the name's common, but I am not. And make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. We'll be talking Celtics on Twitter. We'll be talking Celtics right here at Celtics Today. We'll see you guys in the next video. And as always, let's go C's.